Hello everyone and welcome. Today I'll be going over a basic overview of Noel. This guide won't cover all of her potentials, so I recommend experimenting with other potentials once you've gotten used to the basics of playing her. First of all, let's go into Noel's early game before she has any tactics or potential upgrades. Noel's early game can be quite weak without any potentials or tactics. Noel does almost no AoE damage, so try to focus on grouping enemies together before dealing your damage. Starting with tactics such as Shadow Spike, Chain Lightning, and Light Wave from your legacy characters will make your early game much more smooth. If you use attack Chain Lightning, I also recommend taking Rachel as a legacy passive, because her bats count towards activating your Chain Lightning. Next, let's look at a couple of early game potentials that I recommend picking up. One potential you should always look for as Noel is Hold Attack's AoE upgrade. It makes her heavy attacks much faster, while also having greater range and damage. This will be your most consistent source of DPS when playing Noel. The only downside to this move is that it knocks enemies away, so you want to try and get them near a wall whenever possible. Ignition Bolt is another potential that you should try to pick up as early as possible. It allows you to mark enemies by dashing through them, and then detonate the marks by pressing up plus action. This move is extremely useful for clearing out groups of enemies, and deals decent damage to bosses as well. Just make sure to either use it in melee range of normal enemies, or get to a safe distance first, as the casting animation leaves you vulnerable. The melee hit of it will knock down enemies, making it safe to use in melee range. However, do not use the melee hit if you use Light Wave, or this melee hit will consume the Light Wave charge. The Invulnerability upgrade makes Ignition Bolt much safer in general, and can be used to avoid boss attacks while still getting damage off. You still get some iframes even if you don't have anything marked, but it will be less than if you do have a mark. Next up, let's take a look at her early game bossing. When it comes to bossing, Noel has many tricks at her disposal. Her air skill and air down attacks allow you to stay in the air for a long period of time, and avoid many boss attacks. Her Ignition Bolt is a great source of on-demand iframes if you have the upgrade for it. You really want to have Hold Attack upgrade by the time you get to the first boss, as it's the most reliable source of DPS. Next, let's start looking at the mid and late game, and the potentials I recommend to pick up next. Zero Gun gives you a variety of different attacks. They're all quite useful in different ways, so it's worth it to memorize all of them. The air attack skill and dash skill combos are great for aggressive mobility options. The skill attack combo is great for AoE crowd control, and pairs well with Frost Burst. Crowdfall starts out average, but becomes extremely powerful with the Overexhaust upgrade. You will need the Universal Enhancement potential for Overexhaust first before you can unlock this one. Both of these options are very MP expensive, so you'll also want to pick up the Quick Reload potentials. Last of all, let's take a look at a late game boss fight. Once you're able to pick up more potentials, you can add in Zero Gun or Shroudfall as damaging options. Hold attacks are still a great source of DPS, and can be used between skills or while recovering MP. You'll want to prioritize getting potentials and MP upgrades throughout the run, as Noel can go through a ton of MP even with her reload potential. You can also pick up the Universal Enhancement that gives moves invulnerability during certain periods. This is more difficult to use than Ignition Bolt's iframes, but it's worth having even if you don't know how to use it. You may get lucky and avoid attacks without even trying to. That is all I have to say for this video, so I'll go ahead and let the rest of the boss fight play out, but I won't have any more commentary. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.